Welcome back to another edition of Vinyl Reviews with John. Today, we are talking about what's arguably the first heavy metal album, Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath, based on the horror movie Black Sabbath, containing the track Black Sabbath, the first studio album by Black Sabbath. No, we're not doing this again, no! Watched the first video in this series on Pantera's A Decade of Domination, I gave that album a 4 out of 4 because I think it's a very good compilation album detailing some very great songs from their most iconic years, but it does have some flaws, being that it is a little too short and really could have used another side of the record to really bring out some of the songs that I think are, well, one, a little underrated, and second of all, it just kind of needed a little more songs in my opinion. So how this series works is I have 15 vinyls as of today, and I'm going to review each album of which that I own on vinyl, and this is the second vinyl I ever got. I'm going in chronological order, going from the first vinyl I ever got to the most recent vinyl I have. So, yeah, let's get into this. This is the second vinyl I ever got. I got this as a Christmas gift from my sister, Alexis, so if you're watching this, thank you so much for getting me this album. This is an amazing album that I find myself spinning very often on my record player. So without wasting any more time, let's get into this album. But first, history time. Black Sabbath started out in 1968 as the band Earth, but quickly they realized that the name Earth wasn't really that strong, so they decided to change it. They didn't necessarily know what to change it to. During a rehearsal, Ozzy Osbourne noticed that down the street from their rehearsal space, he noticed that there was a premiere of a horror movie that went by the name of Black Sabbath. And this is where they got the name Black Sabbath that they would use for their first album, Black Sabbath. Yeah, they really love that name a lot. And their guitarist, Tony Iommi, is a beast. Before starting Black Sabbath, he worked in a factory that produced like metal sheets or something like that. And in an accident, when something crushed his fretting hands, middle and ring fingers, he was basically had to get them amputated, and eventually built these sort of prosthetic fingers out of like some rubbers and like some other materials. And he still continued playing guitar while being partially disabled in this hand. They had a very good run of classic albums that they released in the 70s with Ozzy Osbourne on lead vocals. These were the album we're talking about today, Black Sabbath, Master of Reality, Paranoid, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Volume 4, and many others. But in 1979, Ozzy was fired from the band due to his drug addiction and alcohol problems and very insane behavior that led to him getting fired from the band. So yeah. Ozzy went on to start a solo career with guitarist Randy Rhoads, who is the most notable member, who sadly died in a plane crash in 1982. Rest in peace. He is definitely my favorite guitarist of all time and my biggest influence when it comes to playing guitar. As for Black Sabbath, they did regroup with a couple other singers, the most notable ones being Ronnie James Dio from Dio. They produced very good albums like Heaven and Hell, Humanizer, and Mob Rules. Eventually, when Dio was away from them, they formed again with Tony Martin with albums like Headless Cross, Tear, and many others. They also even had Deep Purple singer for albums like Born Again, which has probably the most vomit-inducing album cover I've ever seen. And in the 2010s, they did actually reunite with Ozzy to play a couple shows, and they're no longer playing as of right now, but that doesn't necessarily matter. What does matter is their first album, Black Sabbath. So, let's get into this. Alrighty, this album cover is very intriguing, featuring an image of sort of a nearby forest and a house. And if you flip it onto the back side, you get just an extension. I thought this was the backside, but if you actually open it up, you actually get the full image, which looks like this. So yeah, it's actually just one image, not two separate ones. And yeah, it features a forest and this pretty creepy looking rustic house and the Black Sabbath logo. But it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Who the hell is this lady on the cover? For about 50 years, this woman's identity was unknown to everyone. But recently, the woman in question has been traced to be a model by the name of Louisa Livingston. This is definitely the exact same woman, you can kind of tell. But yeah, that is the woman on this cover. They did try some other shots that were a little bit more, risque, but they decided to go with this one where she's actually covered up because they felt that having some sort of sexuality in this album cover would definitely deviate from the more foreboding, dark, and heavy sounds on this album. And I actually prefer that because, I'd rather not have this video flagged. Alright, let's spin this record. Upon spinning this record, you get the sound of rain, thunder, church bells to start off the intro to the first song, Black Sabbath. And this goes on for a while. I really love the dynamics where the choruses, I guess, are like very loud, heavy, but the verses have this kind of calm, muted vibe to them, almost ambient in a way. Ozzy Osbourne's vocal performances on this song are nothing short of iconic. Is my house burning down? Oh no! And this is the part I would say where heavy metal was born. This song's guitar solo is also awesome! Next, we get the Wizard. I gotta say, this is quite a departure from the heavy sounds of the first song, and it features a harmonica, which I think sounds pretty cool. I love Bill Ward's sort of drum solo on this song, which segues perfectly into Ozzy Osbourne's vocals for the verse. Behind the Wall of Sleep really sounds like Led Zeppelin. The riffs and the guitar solos really sound like something Jimmy Page would play. And also the very weird linking of parts that don't really seem like they should belong in the same song, but they really do in a way. And the unorthodox progression and the breakneck transitions really makes this feel a lot like a very jammy kind of song that you would hear in the 60s. again, you can really hear that Led Zeppelin influence, especially in the vocal melodies, sounding a lot like Robert Plant. And Bill Ward's drumming is really on the same level as John Bonham. I really love it. This is where I start to kind of feel like the argument where people just say that this isn't really metal, it's just kind of heavy blues, really starts to actually make sense. The Wizard was already a bluesy kind of inspired song, but this just sounds like something Led Zeppelin would write, just Ozzy taking the lead vocal. And both of these songs are kind of similar, but I definitely prefer Behind the Wall of Sleep. While The Wizard and Behind the Wall of Sleep definitely gave me a more bluesy Led Zeppelin kind of vibe, that I would concede with the argument that based on the first disc alone, it's more of heavy blues rather than metal. But then, right after those two songs, we get the opening blistering bass solo of N.I.B. This song is really awesome in my opinion. I love the guitar riffs, and oh, don't even get me started on the guitar solo. I love the guitar in this song so much that this is one of the first songs I really learned how to play on guitar. I also really love the lyrics being more story-driven about the devil falling in love with someone before his feelings take over him and he can't really control himself anymore. Really great imagery, and it's actually pretty dark.
Your love for me has just got to be real. If you know the way I'm going to feel.
And with that, the first side of the record comes to a close. I gotta say, literally from just this first side alone, this is already some of my favorite songs of all time. You got the heavy Black Sabbath, you got Behind the Wall of Sleep, Wizard with its really cool harmonica, and N.I.B. Wow, what an amazing lineup of songs. But now, let's flip the record over for side B. Now, spinning the record starts out with the song Evil Woman. This really reminds me of something that like a marching band would play, and it even has some sort of horns that really further exemplifies this sound. This song is a really awesome song, a really good way to kick off side 2. It's very groovy, almost danceable even, and especially the chorus really sounds like something that Ozzy would have released in his solo career.
Evil woman, don't you play your game with me. Evil woman, don't you play your game with me. Now I know just what you're looking for.
And despite Ozzy Osbourne's reputation being sort of ruined by
Sharon! Sharon!
Rock and roll!
Sharon! To my house! Sharon! Is this a joke? I'm trying to get out of this damn place!
Wait! Come on.
his vocals on this song are just, man, they're great. And the whole album, his vocals are just, wow, they're good. Right after the ending of Evil Woman, you get Sleeping Village. This song starts off as sort of like a soft acoustic number. It's actually pretty calming, yet very eerie and depressing also.
Red sun rising in the sky, sleeping village, cockles cry, soft breeze blowing.
But it's not entirely an acoustic ballad. Around like a minute or so in, you get actually some very rocking, more bluesy, heavy metal kind of stuff. I gotta say, that really threw me for a loop the first time I heard it. I was not expecting that. And the song really feels very bluesy and jammy, kind of similar to Evil Woman. I also really like how the song transitions into that sort of breakbeat kind of drum thing that I really am surprised that it wasn't sampled. At least as far as I know. Maybe it was sampled in a song. If you do know that, then let me know in the comments. I would really like to know if this drum beat has been sampled, because it really sounds like something that you would hear in like a old school hip hop or rap kind of thing. And layered with the shaker and tambourine, it actually really reminds me of the song Reckoner by Radiohead. And that ending ring of the guitar, it sounds very kind of eerie, but it seamlessly transitions into the last song, Warning. And this song is 10 minutes long. No, that isn't hyperbole. That must have been like 1 billion years long back then. The fact that they let this song release that was 10 minutes long, wow, that's pretty crazy. If I had to nitpick about this song, I really think this song is a little too long. Although I do really love the progression of this song. I love how it goes from bluesy to sort of more dancey and groovy, kind of like Evil Woman. I really love how the band completely drops out for Tony Iommi's solo to shine. And right after a solo, you get sort of a twangy, bluesy riff again, but no drums kick in, and I really think that's where they kind of should have kicked in. But then, after that, you get another riff starting, and then the band comes back in, and it's really punchy, and I love it. And that is a really great way to end this album. So that was Black Sabbath by Black Sabbath. I really love this album, and it's been long debated whether this is metal or just really heavy blues. Now, I would honestly say that judging by a couple songs from the first side, and even songs like Warning or Sleeping Village from the second side, there is a point to make that this is kind of more of heavy blues. But even with songs like Warning and Evil Woman, Black Sabbath, and NIB, which is, I think, over half of the songs on the album, it really is very metal, and I really love this album. Now, would I recommend you buy this album on vinyl? Hell yes, especially if you're a fan of metal. This is an album you really need to own on vinyl if you love metal. And this is just a really solid album, and so I'm going to give this rating a 5 out of 5. So good job, Black Sabbath, for a very great starting album, and thank you, Alexis, for gifting me this for Christmas. I really love that. But tune in next time when we will be talking about a little-known album that maybe you know, called The Wall. That's gonna be a real doozy, so stay tuned for that. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And what is your opinion on this album? Do you think it's metal? Do you think it's more blues? What are your opinions? Leave them down in the comments below. You can comment down anything you want. Just please be respectful. And yeah, bye.